So hello and welcome. It's the second year we've been doing this online rather than in person. So I'm happy that you could all attend. I do look forward to seeing you in person someday soon. As Valine said, my name is Roma Kale, and I'm very happy that I have my co-workers with me, Colin Deinhardt, who's waving, and Agatha Bark. And Agatha will be monitoring the chat for us, and Colin will be leading our Q&A session that will follow right after I speak a little bit. And we are all librarians at EJ Pratt Library, and we actually have a fourth librarian, Diane Michaud, who is away today. We're all here to help you with your research in your first year and possibly beyond if you would like that. So I'm just going to share my screen now, and it's really going to be a bit of a PowerPoint presentation. You can ask questions as they come up. Agatha will moderate that for me, and we may save some of them we will have 20 to 30 minutes after my sort of 30-minute.
Are you watching it?
Yeah.
Did you find it? Huh? Sorry.
After my 30-minute sort of talk, so you can save your questions for then as well. We will have lots of time for questions. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, does that look good, Colin? Thumbs up? Yeah, okay, thanks. This is basically who we are. There is an email here, so if you get to the end of this and you're wondering how to contact us, this is how you can contact us. I might just get Agatha to put that general one in the chat for me, so you have it. But basically the purpose of our session today is really to introduce you to our libraries, our services, our collections, our spaces, and us, the people in the library. And although our physical location is currently closed and we are waiting a decision on when we'll open and how much, but right now our physical location is closed, but our digital collections and our services, so including us, are extensive and readily available. So I'm going to get started with just a bit of information about what we can do. I'll try to do some of it today, but what we can do beyond the session is just to demonstrate how to access and borrow library materials. So including ebooks, which are big right now, and other electronic resources, print resources in the future. The other thing I'm going to cover are starting points for your research. So when you get an assignment, what are some good places to start based on your program of study? So those are the things I'm going to cover, as well as just how to book appointments with us, reference research consultations. Again, as you're going through your paper or your assignment, you're wondering how to start, you can certainly contact us. And then we do have a bit of a fun thing where we will have 2 skill testing questions, and you'll have an opportunity to win a prize, a gift card at some coffee place probably. But for those we'll take the first 5 answers in the chat once I ask the question, and then I'm going to ask the first 5 people to send their email to Agatha in the chat, and we'll note that down, and then we'll put you in a draw. So that's sort of what we're going to do today. Everything I'm covering and more and you can do this at your own pace. It's all included in an interactive online module that Agatha designed. So I'm just going to ask her to put a URL to that in the chat, if you don't mind. But you can also get to it through Quarkus under your Getting Ready for Vic course. So it's there, and you don't need a password or anything at that point. But Agatha's also put a URL if you want to check it out while I'm talking. Okay, so let's just start with basically an introduction to Victoria University Library System. There are 2 libraries at Vic. E.J. Pratt Library, where the 3 of us work, is just one, and it is the main undergraduate library on Vic campus. We do focus on the humanities and social sciences, but we do provide some general resources and reference services for the life and social sciences. Colin used to be a business librarian, so we can get you started there. But more importantly, for those other subject areas, we can also refer you to resources, guides, and the people who specialize in them. So still come talk to us, and we can definitely give you some of the referrals to our colleagues in those areas. Okay, so it's time for our first skill testing question. So as you can see, our library is named after E.J. Pratt. So in the chat, first 5 people to put an answer to the question, who was he? What activities was he known for? We'll get your names and emails. And yep, he was a poet. Amirali, Adriana. Okay, I think that's 5. So let me, poet. Nice. Okay, so we'll do Amirali, Adriana, Katerina, Zenling or Stephanie, and Rita. If you could email your, under the chat, just straight to Agatha so that everybody doesn't get your email. Just send her your email and then I will do a draw and I will email one of you. So yes, he was a poet, author, writer, professor at Vic. Yes. So I'm kind of smiling because one of the answers apparently in the past was that he was a philanderer. And I actually didn't know that, and I was debating whether I should actually say that, but I have. So Emmanuel College Library is actually the second library on Vic campus. And he is, actually, I shouldn't have said that because we're recording. Oh, well. Anyway, Emmanuel College Library is the second graduate theology, is the second library at Vic, and it's a graduate theology library. It's also what we sometimes call as our Harry Potter library. Even if you don't need to go there for the graduate theology works, it's a good idea to go because it's just so beautiful. As you can see from this picture, a lot of filming goes on there. It's accessible to all U of T students, and it's on the 3rd floor of Emmanuel College. It does have a lot of books about religious studies, though. So if you are doing any religious studies courses, you may need to go or want to go to Emmanuel College Library. So a little bit now about the U of T system in general. There are 44 libraries across the U of T system amongst 3 campuses. So St. George, UTM, and Scarborough. There are 44 libraries with spaces, services, collections, and staff, all of which you're entitled to use to help you in your research or study, or even your general interest. You can use the services and resources there. So often we'll call the U of T library systems UTL. So UTL as a whole includes more than 12 million print books, 1.5 million electronic resources. Basically what that means is that it is probably the highest numbers in Canada. And your tuition fees help make it that way. So while you're here and paying for these services, I'd encourage you to take advantage of them. One thing that I discourage is that if you're ever asked to pay for information online, contact a librarian, because with this number of resources, chances are we can get it for you somehow without pay. That the catch is that it may take time. So, and we can't, it's not a guarantee, but often we can, and it's just not straightforward. So it's one of my tips for today. So the second skill testing question, so maybe people who weren't in the first 5 last time could answer, is which library is this featured on the screen, and we'll take the first 5 answers again. Oh, 10 people. Yes, it's all Robarts. So other nicknames. So, okay. Oh, good. You guys were ready. Matula Mackenzie? No, sorry. Milichar, Kylie Ann, and Vanilla and Daria. If those 5 will send Agatha your email, we'll follow up. Okay. So that's the U of T library system. I'm just going to focus a little bit before returning to the UTL system. I'm going to focus a little bit on EJ Pratt Library. So this is us. I'm going to go to our web page. This is currently what it looks like. It tells you a bit of our restrictions at the moment. Basically, we are closed. It's the biggest restriction. We are offering some curbside service, but also, you know, getting in touch with any of us for advice is also still very much open. If you're trying to find what's going on at Pratt Library, our webpage, and I get to put that in the chat as well. I guess if you don't mind, it's simple, but it might help. So yeah, start with our library if you're looking for what's going on with us. I will come back to this link called Library Catalog, because that will take you to the UTL homepage, which is important when you're looking to find actual books and journal articles, etc. But in terms of research help, if you go under our services and research help, you can get our direct emails, our names, etc. So you can always email us directly. And also, you'll notice I'm under research and resources. There is this link called subject and course guides. So these are the course guides that the 3 of us plus Diane actually create for your courses. So if they're down here, there's a number of VIC courses you can see. If you're going to be taking a VIC course, especially, check to see if we've created a course guide for you. It'll get you started, you know, from A to B in terms of doing your research, and they're really customized for the course itself, not just generally. And there's more than just VIC in there. There's a number of courses that are often filled with VIC students. Those are the ones we make these guides for. And finally, this is not finally, far from finally actually, but this is one of my favorite parts of this session. If we go back to our homepage, normally I would take you on a tour of the beautiful library, but I can't. But we do have a virtual tour. So I'm going to take you under, where are we? Under About Us, actually. So About Us. And there's the library floor plan. So we have 3 major floors, right? We're a small library, but you can do this for all of the libraries. If you're not sure where to go, there should be a floor plan. Also, you can just go in and talk to someone once we open. But the floors of the libraries where the books are kept are called stacks. So the lower floor at Pratt looks like this, and you'll see if you go through that door, you're looking at Queen's Park, and often people will go from our library to Robarts when ours closes. And in that case, I would encourage you to use the Safe Walk program, because that's what they're there for. They're to walk you from one location to a designated safe spot, which could be another library or a close by subway station. And they're there for that purpose. So if I spin around here, you can see the stacks. I'm actually just going to go back because I want to show you this. I'm gonna make you dizzy now. Sorry. If you go through this door, that's our student lounge. But what I'm trying to show you is the amount of sunlight we get. So it's a very popular place to study. Actually, sorry, I'm going to go around one more time. This person here, all of this around the perimeter of the floor are sunlit carrels. So you can go, you can study with natural light. And again, those fill up really quickly. One thing I will, again, just mention is if you're using the carrels at any point, don't leave your valuables there, even while you go to the washroom. Every year that we've been open, so clearly not last year, people's stuff gets stolen. So don't leave your valuables at the carrel, even while you go to the washroom. Okay, last, I'm going to spin around again and get you to the student lounge. So if you go here, you can see the student lounge, and this is what you may have seen this already, but this is what you look at. So it's very pretty. This student lounge is where you would have you can eat, you can talk on your cell phone, you can have beverages, but we don't allow that in the rest of the library. So this is where you would do it. And it is called the Pearson Peace Garden, Lester B. Pearson Garden for Peace and Understanding, specifically because he wanted students to have a place where they could contemplate things outside of their deadlines and coursework. Okay, so that was the fun part of this session. Okay, I'm going to go back to our library homepage. So as I said, I'm going to come back to this section, the library catalog. So this is your link from our page to the University of Toronto Libraries system, which is huge. And it's necessary that you start from this page when you're doing, trying to find information. So this is a new system. This library search, it opens to a very simple search. This library search is new, like very new. We're still figuring it out. But it is an integrated search platform that searches for, it's like Google, it's an integrated search, but it searches for books, articles, periodicals, primary sources, audiovisual materials, including film, as well as other sources. So there's a lot of information. It will also, when available, give you links to ebooks and journal articles, the actual full text. It searches all 44 libraries for both their print and the library systems, all their electronic resources, including journal articles across all 3 campuses. So we recommend using this default search when you open this page. We recommend using this only when you really know what you're looking for. If you're doing a general search, believe it or not, it's probably better to use the advanced search and maybe get some help from librarians if you're actually having trouble. So I'm going to just do a general search. I'm going to do a simple search on a specific title. And I'm putting it in quotation marks just because I want it to appear exactly as I'm typing it. So I'm going to do that search. Handmaid's Tale, if you're having trouble seeing it. And I'll still get something like 10,000 results. And you'll notice that because I'm getting all formats, right? Videos, books, everything. If I want to focus on books themselves, just go to the books tab and apply that filter. There's still 244 versions, editions, variations, and books with that phrase somewhere in the title. So not necessarily the Handmaid's Tale novel, but books about the Handmaid's Tale even. But this is the one I want. I want the actual book, let's say, written by Margaret Atwood. It's illustrated. It's interesting. So let's just go into the record, and I want to show you what you would be looking for if you're actually trying to find the book. So there's a few things. If we were open, it would actually be really simple. You would go down to these locations, you would take this call number, or hopefully the VIC call number, and come into the library with it and go to the stacks and sign it out. Because we're closed, you'll get one of 2 options until we open. You'll either be able to request it for curbside pickup, but in order to do that, you need to sign in here, which I'm going to get to in a minute. Or you can get it through this HATHI Emergency Temporary Access Service, which we only have during COVID. And you would agree, and you'll have to sign, well, you'll get to this page, and then you have to log in. So it's again, it's really not straightforward, but that's the kind of thing we can help you with. Just send us an email if you're trying to get access to a book in the next few months while we're still closed. Okay, so that's a little bit about how to find the material. Again, all of this information will be covered in the Quercus module that Agatha prepared. And she gave you the URL earlier, but it's under the Getting Ready for Vic. No, sorry, what is it called? Getting Ready. Yeah, for Vic course. And it's all there, and with a lot of videos and better instruction than I'm probably giving at the moment. So let's say you've got your the name of a book that you wanted. You actually want to sign it out now. So pre-COVID times, you would get a physical T card, which looks like this. There are some pieces of information that are important on this T card. So it's your UTOR ID, which you will need to have, and your library barcode. You'll know your student number already, but this physical T card gives you your UTOR ID and your barcode. You'll need your UTOR ID to access any of the electronic resources, ebooks, anything remotely. You'll need your UTOR ID, and your library barcode you'll need for your library account online, which will let you renew books, pay fines, etc. So I'm just going to go. This is your library account here, by the way. Back to the home page of UTL and get you more information on the library card. If you go to services and then T card, library and T cards, here's some more information. So this is what's happening now. So for new students without a T card, you need to book an appointment, and you find out how to book it just by clicking on this. Basically, you'll make an appointment with the T card office virtually. But if you do want information about signing out a book prior to having that T card, you can email this reader registration, and we'll try to arrange something. For more information on the T card, though, I'll just go here because it's really quite useful. This is what you need to do, and you will get your UTOR ID even without getting the physical card. And that URL is just tcard.utoronto.ca. You've probably heard that all before, but it is really your ticket into the library as well as a lot of other things. So you sort of do need that. Okay, so now just a little bit about, I've got some of the basics covered. One of the things we can certainly help you with, and this is what we do all the time, is when you get your assignment and you're trying to start your research, you can come talk to us. As I mentioned, there were on the homepage these subject guides that I mentioned we created for Vic. But if you go back to the University of Toronto Library homepage, there's another resource that's very good for starting your research. And it's maybe not straightforward to find. If you go scroll down under databases, this by subjects A to Z. So if I'm actually helping a student, I will sometimes use these to get familiar with the resources. So specialists in these subjects create these guides, and they provide a great place to start. So if you want to go by subject, let's say we go to can scroll down. I'll just do literature, for example, and click. And you'll get over here, you will get a list of journal article databases. Over here, you'll get a list of other subject guides. This is a chat with a librarian service, so you can click on it and get help when they're open. The other thing is within literature, there are different types of resources. So we've got article databases, dictionaries, encyclopedias, and primary sources. There are a number of dictionaries and encyclopedias online. This is a big one. Literature Resource Center contains a lot of them. So those are examples of places to start. You get your assignment, you pick the subject, and you can start searching. We often suggest you start with an encyclopedia, get some background information, then look for books, the way I did the Margaret Atwood one, and then look for journal articles. But that whole strategy is something, come talk to any librarian, and we can help you with that. I just have two more things to mention. One is that, as I said, there are 44 libraries. We are one, but we can refer you to ones that might be best for your subject area. If you want a list of them all and you want to know when their hours are, because once things open, they will all be different. We don't even know what our hours will be at this point, but here's a list of them. So let's say you are actually in health sciences, and a lot of health sciences students study at Pratt for some reason, but you can filter them by subject and you get a list of the main libraries to go to. So if you're in dentistry, clearly dentistry. There's the Gerstein one is the big health sciences library. So we would probably, depending on what you were studying, that's a big one. So that's how you can find out. There are math libraries, there are chemistry libraries, but you can find them and their websites through this list. Okay, so I am almost at my time before we do the question and answer. I just want to leave you with how to contact us, and a few other parting words would be, sorry. Ooh, lots of good questions. So as I said, the general email, if you just want to contact us, is victoria.library@utoronto.ca, but I did show you the webpage with all our specific emails. You can just go onto our website and I'm sure you can find it. One of the things we do quite regularly, each of us, is book virtual research consultations. We used to do them in person. Moving forward, I'm sure we'll do them both virtually and in person. But when you get your assignment, you can book a research consultation. We'll cover the material that I've covered today and more, but relevant to your specific research topic. You can email the general email, you can email those specific emails, or on our webpage, the Vic Library homepage, there's an Ask Us. You can click that and fill out a form. And then last but not least, you'll remember this chat with a librarian. That's across the whole UTL system. So you would get one of the many librarians across UTL to help with your questions. Okay, so that's information about how to contact us. I will quickly mention that as incoming students, you will be hooked up with what we call our personal librarian program. So you would get Diane, Colin, or Agatha probably, and that you will get an introduction email from them. They may send you emails about workshops, but you can contact them or anyone, but they will be in touch with you. And then finally, I'll just get Agatha to put the great URL she made. If you have it, Agatha, sorry, I put you on the spot there, but she created a great study guide. If you want to do some summer reading on essential skills, study skills for academic success, Agatha created a list of online books and resources for taking notes, participating in class discussions, giving presentations. That's a big one. It's a bit of a new skill sometimes. Preparing for exams, any other strategies. We just provided some books for that. But there are services, academic success, and many services out of the registrars and dean's offices, which are focused on dealing with many of those skills. So thank you for being patient while I rambled through all of that. We will now turn it over to my colleague Colin, who will lead our Q&A session, and we'll try to catch up on any questions in the chat. If Agatha wants us to do them in person live, we can do that. And I will be quiet except to help answer questions now. But thank you so much. And I do hope we get to see you in person. So welcome.
Thank you, Roma. Hi, everyone. I noticed that there were a number of questions in the chat, and I'm not sure if have all of them been answered, or can we elaborate on any of these, Agatha? Like, I'm just scrolling through to see. There's a number. There was one question about. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was one question about when new students can access the print collections.
Yes.
Because they do not have access to physical T-cards right now. But as far as I know, T-cards are currently required to borrow books through the Curbside Pickup service. So I don't think that information is available yet.
I think I have a little bit of an update. I think on that if I'm not mistaken, that once you activate your user ID, you can also, provided you come with government issued photo ID and a confirmation of enrollment. So you could go, for example, to get that confirmation of enrollment, you could go to ACORN, the Student Information Service, and print out your confirmation of enrollment letter. That would be an example of providing documentation that you've been enrolled, right? So with the government issued photo ID, I believe that's the case. Is that, does that sound correct, Roma? Is that yes? Okay, yeah, so you can. So the short answer is it looks promising that you can get access to the print materials using the Curbside Pickup once you activate your user ID and bring a government issued photo ID and confirmation of enrollment, right? I think even eventually when you get a schedule, like your actual schedule as well, that will suffice as confirmation of enrollment as well. So you will be able to get access to it eventually during the summer, I think.
I'll just add one thing is, if you are looking to use the Curbside Pickup service, you need to have that user ID. So as Colin said, if you can log into your account, you will be able to do those requests through the catalog. So try to log in order to see what's available through Curbside. And if you want to access the online material, then you will need your user ID for sure. Does that make sense, Colin?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. I think there was also another question kind of related, but it was specifically about textbooks or course readings and when you'll be able to get access to those. And I think that might have to wait until September, I believe, when the reading list and course assigned readings are made available, but you should be able to access many of them via your Quirkus course management system once you enrolled there. Were there any other questions? I think there might have been a question about the personal librarian program as well. I'm just sort of scrolling through the messages, trying to see them. Let me know if I'm missing any though. So the personal librarian, you will connect with your personal librarian. Typically it's in late September, around the 24th of September, around there is when the first, your personal librarian will be reaching out to you as well. And so until that time, they haven't been assigned, like the librarians haven't been assigned to students at this point. So it won't be until early September. But until that, if you have any questions, do feel free to get in touch with us, as Roma mentioned, like by emailing us or looking up our contact information on the Pratt Library website. We can help you that way as well. And Roma, is there also maybe basic information using the Ask Us 11 to 1 from Monday to Friday sort of chat service? So you can use an online chat service just for Pratt. It's a narrow window of opportunity, but Monday to Fridays, 11 to 1 o'clock.
I'll get the URL.
Yeah, because then you can do like a live chat. You don't have to email and wait for a response. There'll be someone staffing this live chat service just at Pratt. And this is, just to be clear, this is separate from that Ask Chat service that Roma showed you a moment ago. That's a widget that has much better hours and is for really intense research as well, right? But more research. But this is just for some basic Pratt Library questions, a lot of directional questions, that kind of thing. So I'm thinking, just let me scroll through. Of course, if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand or even unmute and jump in. Let's see. Oh, great. Yeah, so is that clear about the letter of enrollment that I mentioned? Because I see another question about that. Agatha, is there anyone I should focus on or anyone we need to follow up on? Because there seems to be quite a few coming through here. I don't want to miss any.
There was a question about course readings as well.
Right. So just as I explained, I think the course readings will be made available to you, or links to them, in your Quarkus, in your course shell in Quarkus, in probably not till September, though, when classes begin.
And we don't.
Go ahead, Agatha.
And we're not sure whether print course readings will be available yet, do we?
Correct.
Okay,
Right.
so we don't have that information yet.
Yeah. I can't predict anymore. I was going to say, I suspect they will if we're open, but it depends how much advance notice we get to being open. So Agatha's answer is the best one there.
Right.
I was just going to add, there was the question about, is there a direct link to the VIC course readings that were mentioned earlier that the librarians organize? I may have confused you a bit there. What will happen is the course readings, as Colin said, will be in Quarkus under course readings and reserves. What we will do though is, if we create one of those guides that Colin that I mentioned earlier, all of those VIC guides, we will put that link, or have your professor put that link in your Quarkus module. So it's a great question, Munajat. You won't miss it. You don't have to search that big list I showed you. It will be embedded into your Quarkus link. Into your Quarkus course. So if you're taking VIC 119, Colin will make sure that the professor puts the link to his course guide in your Quarkus, or he will send it to you himself. You will definitely get it. I hope that answers that question, Manojit.
Colin, there's also a question about needing a letter of enrollment.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what's required to access the printed library service?
Yes, but the letter of enrollment is one example that you've been registered, I think would be the term, or enrolled. It could be a schedule, like on the links that I think, Agatha, you provided in the chat earlier. I can get it again. It explains all that process and what you would need. Let me just see if I can get the link for you. Right.
If we've missed someone while we're scrolling through and you're comfortable just putting your mic on and speaking, please feel free to do so. Or I think you can you raise your hand in Zoom? Raise your virtual hand, yeah, and speak. You're welcome to. You don't have to, but you're welcome to.
Yeah. Okay. Just quickly, it's you need proof of registration. One example of that proof would be that confirmation letter, but also an invoice, or it says a timetable schedule. And here you can see it on this page. I'm just going to throw it in the chat now. If you scroll down a little bit to with that, it starts without a T card, you will still be able to, and then in that paragraph or bulleted list there, you'll see the information there about what you need. Oh, we have a question, Roma, about an estimated date when we'll know when libraries will open in the fall.
I wish you have no idea how much I wish I knew that. So the latest on this is that when Arts and Science makes a decision, a final decision in early July about what it's doing, then the libraries will make a decision following that. And sorry, I shouldn't be so bad. By what it's doing, I think they want to confirm based on the rates and the public health guidelines, that it'll be a full, how much will be in person and how much might be online. Once they know that, then we can move, then accordingly, we will have our hours decided. So the short answer is hopefully early July. I will be honest and say I'm not holding my breath. I think it'll be late July before we know what we will be doing in the fall. If we open, we will probably have, unfortunately, more limited hours than we have in the past. But certainly across the 44 libraries, there will be spaces and places that are open for the usual amounts of time. That's a question. And I just wanted to answer this question from Miriam in case some of my selected courses were online. Would the library have access to the digital version of the textbooks? That's a fantastic question. And we try our hardest to do that. The publishers sometimes stop. I'm like whining today. The publishers sometimes stop us. They don't want to sell libraries textbooks electronically because they want you to pay money to buy them. So we really do our best to do that. And sometimes what ends up happening is we get permission to scan chapters. Thank you, Agatha. That's a great link in answer to this question. We sometimes get permission to scan chapters, and then we'll put chapters of it in course reserve so you can do it so you can read them online.
It's complicated. We don't there's a lot of, like Rama mentioned, there's quite a number of obstacles when it comes to acquiring textbooks for students from publishers, because they would like us, they don't want to license a single textbook for all students in the class. Usually we're not able to do it. So just to manage your expectations gently, you will still be required to most likely purchase necessary textbooks and other materials for your class. We don't often have the resources also to provide textbooks for the whole class, in addition to all the obstacles and limitations that publishers have on the licenses that we acquire. They're also protected by copyright, and they're also copyright consideration when it comes to licensing textbooks and other materials as well. It's just to keep that in mind. That you will be required to buy textbook and other materials for your classes as well. Notwithstanding the fact that we try to, as much as possible, to provide as many texts as we can to students through the syllabus service. Does that summarize it well, Colin and Roma?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's excellent. I get that.
Yeah. I think it's it's very much in terms of like proper textbooks, right? If the question is more generally about assigned readings or required readings, they may not be. They could be novels. It can be other nonfiction works that are not strictly speaking textbooks. And there's more likelihood that we will have them electronically, I think, than textbooks. But there's another. Sorry, am I missing a question here? I know I wrote down notes at one point and then missed it. There was a question about international students and needing a visa prior to activating UTRID. I think it's correct, but I honestly don't know I'm not confident in my answer to that. So I'm wondering if Agatha or Roma know that. Do you know whether international students will need a visa before activating their UTRID?
It will
I'm
be
not comfortable answering. I'll let Megan answer.
Yeah.
And the other part is I would strongly, the registrar may know better than I do for sure, but Agatha, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the registrar, maybe Brigitte, who's the Dean for International Students, Brigitte Petro. She would probably have that information. Let me I can double check.
So yeah, the registrar would be one place, and then the Dean of Students Office via Brigitte, who is focuses on international students from the Dean's office, might be another place. So you have two places there.
Yeah, that would be Brigitte, I believe. She would be the best person to answer that.
We also had a question. Could you elaborate what activating your UTRID means? I think it's really booking an appointment with that T-card office, which I think Agatha sent a link directly to. Maybe we can resend that. Let me just.
I will just clarify for Amy, I think people have answered this already, but yeah, sorry, when I said talk to us about rather than paying for material, I sort of sorry, I should have been more clear. It's really other than, as you said, it's things other than textbooks or sometimes novels. Often the big push is that when you're trying to find a journal article, you'll sometimes get into a loop where you're asked to pay. So that definitely come and talk to us about that. But also just, you probably do want to double check that the textbook is not available as an ebook prior to buying it. Sometimes they are. So just check that it's not an ebook before you actually buy it. And same with the novels.
Are there any other questions? I'm still scrolling through the chat to see if I've missed anything.
I noticed this one, Colin, which you might, I think you can answer. How long can students check out materials? It's a great question. Can we have a book it's a great question, for an entire semester, or do we need to re-check out materials throughout the school year?
Oh, right. That information should be right on our website, right?
Yeah.
That's
so currently it is 2 weeks, and then you can keep renewing. With this new system, it might be changing. So yeah, there, Agatha's got the URL loan periods. It's 2 weeks, and then you have the opportunity to renew it, and you can renew it online up to 3 times unless somebody else has put a hold on it. That's about 6 weeks unless somebody's put a hold on it. If it's an unpopular book, you could technically return the book, then come back and get it for another run. But that might be changing, where you get it for longer and it automatically renews. So keep your eyes on that website that Agatha gave you the link to, because this is part of the new system I mentioned. Some of the policies might be changing as well.
Another question came in. So for books or textbooks that many students check out, are there often double copies? Yes, absolutely. There are often many copies at the 44 libraries at U of T. And the other thing to mention, just I'm not sure, I can't remember if Roma mentioned it earlier, but they're all, even if you find an item or a title that's only available at, let's say, the Mississauga campus of U of T or Scarborough, there's inter-campus delivery, and you can request them as well to be brought to a location downtown and picked up there as well. So that's one other little piece of the puzzle. You're welcome. Okay. Anything else?
I just wanted to add about the T-card services.
Oh,
You can actually activate your U2 ID by booking an appointment and going through that process. And normally what they need is your study permit or some kind of visa to study in Canada. But if you can't obtain that, or you're not able to, you don't have it right now, you can book an appointment and let them know. To get the physical T-card on campus, when you get on campus, you must go through the process at that point. But I think you can activate it beforehand. I'm just going to put a link for documentation required, but you can go through the steps and actually book your appointment and get your U2 ID activated, which should give you access to almost all of the services.
Thanks, Valine. That's really helpful. If we've missed anybody's question, feel free to just shout it out. We have we still have about five minutes, but you can also feel free to shout it out.
Oh, the great question. I believe, so do libraries possess test archives? I think you mean old exams. Is that what we're referring to here? There is an old exam repository. Yes. Now it's entirely dependent on the professor. It's voluntary whether they submit their old exams, and traditionally they'll hold the last 3 years in the repository as well, if it's there. Now let me just get you a link. There's well, actually it might be easier to show this. Let me see. So I'm just looking for here it is. So you actually have to log in with your U2 ID to actually get access to it, but I'm gonna just, perhaps some of you have it already. So this is the old exams here. Or should we share screen and show that quickly? Or is that yes, no?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me go back. This is the link I just sent, but it's here. I think it's under, now watch me, can't. Is it? Whoops. Yeah, under research from the main UTL homepage, under collections, you can find old exams. That's where you would find that link, and that takes you to the page or the link that I just sent. At this stage, you'd have to log in with your U2 ID, and then you would look up by course code. And also be careful, all 3 campuses, so Scarborough, UTM, and downtown share this. So you might want to make sure you're selecting or limiting by campus when you're looking through old exams as well. Right? Is that good? So I'll stop sharing. Oh, about a question about food and drink policy. Basically, it varies a lot by libraries. At Pratt, we're fairly strict. I'd say fairly strict in terms of our food and drink policy. But as Roma mentioned, that there's a student lounge on the ground floor where the rules are a little bit relaxed, and cold snacks and drinks are welcome. Various libraries have different policies as well, right? Is there anything else, Roma or Agatha, you want to add?
I just remembered, so you can, if your cup has a lid, or a water bottle with a lid. You can drink, I'm losing all my language here. You can drink from a lidded cup or bottle anywhere in the library, but you can't eat unless it's on the lower floor. And to be honest, we do this mostly because it's to protect the books, right? Food does attract rodents, and it's just for those purposes. And in terms of the phone, it's also because, believe me, people self-police. It's just for quietness. We do try to keep a quiet library as possible, and so we ask you to use your cell phone just down in the sub-basement, and students will actually ask their fellow students to go down, because especially in the heat of studying. So that's us, but elsewhere it's different. So you can certainly check if you're hungry and you need to go to a library where you can eat and study, that is available amongst the 44 libraries for sure.
Are there any other questions? Have we missed anything? No? Feel free to jump in. We have 1.5 minutes left, I think.
Did we get the emails of the, I suppose, 10 people? Sort of.
Yes, I saved the chat.
Thank you.
I'll send them to you later.
Yeah.
Great.
Anything else on personal librarian? Colin, yeah, I guess we're waiting, right?
Yeah, that one. But we do have great workshops.
That's it. That was the last one. CCR.
Yes.
Did you do that? Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So
I'll get the link.
Perfect. So we also have workshops that are co-designed and co-taught by a librarian at Vic and a Vic writing instructor. So you kind of get two for the price of one here. They're 2-hour sessions where the first hour will be the librarian and the second hour will be the writing instructor on a particular topic. The series we have is called Develop Your Scholarly Voice, and it covers 4 sessions on critical reading, writing to cite, annotated bibliographies, and literature reviews, right? So each of those topics, this seminar series is accredited with the co-curricular records. It's a way of acknowledging your academic contributions or participation beyond the classroom as well. That's the co-curricular record. And I think Roma has sent information there. We don't have dates for the next year yet. The old dates are still up, I think, but that you can get descriptions of each of the sessions as well, and a little bit more information, a better sense of what they'll involve. Another question is, what does the personal librarian do exactly? Oh, good, very good question. So your personal librarian will be contacting you periodically throughout the term, providing links to important information that's timely. So for example, come exam time, you'll get a message and we'll share sort of tools, right? Or study space information, extended hours information, a whole host of information, so you're up to date on what kind of services and resources might be most useful to you at that time of year. Of course, that you're welcome to contact your personal librarian at any time as well as a contact for the librarian when it comes to sort of like library research questions as well, just so you have at least one a face in a sense, or a virtual face, or one person that you can contact. You're not limited, of course, to only reaching out to your personal librarian, but this is a way of ensuring that you at least have one person that you can contact for research help at the library as well. And anything that we don't know, we work in conjunction with our colleagues throughout the UTL system, and we can direct you to the appropriate librarian for their research. In some cases, there may be expertise that we don't have that you need, for example, maybe data or map or GIS, etc. And we can connect you to librarians that have expertise in those particular areas as well.
Colin, am I right in saying that any incoming Vic student is now going to be with you, Agatha, or Diane?
Pretty much, I think so. I think we're pretty confident to say that at this point. Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be one of the 3 of the Pratt Librarians.
Yep.
Okay, well, I don't see any more questions, or we may have missed some, but hopefully we answered them. It's 2 minutes past, so I just want to thank first Agatha and Colin for their invaluable help with this, and then Valine for having us be part of this, and then all of you, most of all. I'd like to just welcome you and hope that we do get to see you or have you in the Pratt Library. We may not see you, but we look forward to being open, frankly. So thank you.